Hey friends, it is me, Kelly in Phoenix, and I'm here with my two favorite colleagues, Bo and Connor. Tonight we are talking about the Charles Schwab Challenge. That's really hard to say 3 times fast, but we're going to go through it tonight with you. And we're also making a Tom Collins. So let's get into it. Someday we're going to fix that intro so I'm not Nate every week.
Yeah, you're much better looking than Nate.
Thank you.
Truth.
So we have been doing a bet every week, and last week we had a winner, but I don't think any of our captains won. Is that correct?
Mine did.
Yours did. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
out of the three of us, mine did.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Wasn't great. So I was going to say we're foregoing the shots because you won money.
Absolutely not.
I have a special shot for Connor anyway. So
I absolutely destroyed you guys, and that needs to be recorded somewhere.
Okay, but
it was bad. It was bad.
I scored 433 points. I believe Bo was closest at 211.
It was ugly. It was bad.
Kelly,
it's very bad.
I won't shame you publicly.
I barely beat Kelly, so it's not like I had second place locked up by any stretch. I lost my second place hold for, I think, on Saturday. Roughly.
Yeah, I was
for
like
Kelly
so excited. I was like, "Yay, I'm in second now!" But it didn't last very long.
Every once in a while, Connor will have a good week, and sometimes it coincides with us having good weeks as well. This wasn't one of those weeks. This is Connor's week to victory lap because he actually did well when nobody else did.
I actually, and really, honestly, what was a big separator for me was stacking Rory and JT.
Oh yeah,
and Rory absolutely shit the bed. But that first day got me enough points that we stayed up there, and then obviously having JT with the win. So
it's such a bad memory.
I've already forgotten about it. It was all a fever dream.
I didn't bring a shot because I honestly thought we were gonna not do it. So I don't know what to do.
I got Mountain Dew for you. Taco Bell Mountain Dew. That's the shot.
Unbelievable. I'm the last one to show up to the show, and I have liquor.
I have liquor. I'm making my cocktail, but it's only like my serving size.
Well, we'll virtually pour one out to the slow, painful death you guys suffered last week.
Okay.
Oh no, it was quick and painless. I knew it was over by the time Thursday rolled around because all my guys that I had in that particular lineup were dead, and then it was just like I had a couple good lineups this week out of 20. So I salvaged some money because I did have some JT and some Cam Young. But other than that, the guys that I was heaviest on just did absolutely nothing. It was a week that I went into pretty confident because I had the course pegged. I had everything down right. I even agreed with your Rory and JT takes. I was like, hey, those are good plays. I'm going to have those guys. Everybody else I played completely shit the bed. And I mean, they rolled into Tulsa on Thursday and quit. They sucked. They were awful.
I will say we all were on Cam Young. We all were on Davis Reilly. And those two helped out immensely. I think there was a lot of reasons to play Scheffler. I think there was a lot of reasons to play Morikawa. They just didn't do. And really, Neiman should have been way more competitive. I mean, I thought he was going to do significantly better than he did. So
I was just super upset that I didn't play Mito because that was something I had been thinking about as like a value pick, and he tore it up DFS wise. I mean, oh wow.
Yeah. I had a ton of Mito in the rest of my DraftKings stuff. I just didn't play him in our tournament, but I was probably 30-40% Mito.
Yeah, for some reason I like Mito a lot. I've played him all season. Like he's been a great value. He's played out of his mind this season. He had 3 Korn Ferry Tour wins last year, so he was on my radar already as a guy who, as a PGA Tour rookie, can make some noise. And then this week, where he actually does tear it up and comes one hole away from winning a PGA Championship, I was completely off him, and I can't even explain why. Because looking back at my notes and the metrics I was looking at, he popped up in all those. He just didn't make my player pool somehow. I have no idea how. I'm kicking myself for not even having a single share of Mito Pereira for this last week. I'm flabbergasted that he wasn't on any of my rosters because of how much I've played him all year long.
Oh, wow.
I almost backed out of having him just because kind of towards probably Wednesday-ish, a lot of people industry-wide were kind of getting out to trot on him. And I mean, for the same reasons you just talked about him, he was all over my modeling too. And I thought we had an edge playing him, and then I started seeing.
I think that might be what it was, because my models had him at like 22% roster percentage, and so I mean I might have been off him there because me, I'm a leverage player. I'm always looking for the guys that pop up but also don't show up. Like you're like, oh yeah, I'm the guy that's gonna be in the 4 to 5% that has that, and my most rostered player across all my lineups was JT at 18%. And the rest of my guys were under 10% even. And so even my good lineups were like super heavy leverage, and they worked out. But a lot of my leverage picks were dead in the chalk this last week. Ew.
Well, and in contrast, I'm just eating top to bottom this week with one weirdo at the bottom. So I'm not doing cute this week.
Yeah. Well, enough about that sadness, but congratulations, Connor. We do give you a lot of garbage sometimes, but you won.
I believe I'm 2 for 3 right now.
You won by a lot.
He's 2 for 3. I've got second place all 3 weeks.
I won once.
It's really annoying. It's really annoying to be second place every single week.
Well, we'll get there for next week. We'll get our captains picked at the end of the show. But
well, for this week, I'm hoping to get first or last. Either one. Anything but second.
Or last, it turns out.
Pretty much.
Let's make a cocktail, shall we?
Do it.
I'm thirsty. Get over to the bar cam.
Bar cam.
All right, it's gonna be a little rough because I was running a little late, but that's all right.
You late?
I know. I'm always on time, aren't I?
When you're on time, your audio sucks. So I guess this is a good trade-off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we're doing a Tom Collins, pretty classic cocktail. You're gonna start yourself off. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either do it shaken, which is the way I prefer it, or you can do it stirred. We're gonna do it shaken.
Oh, it's a shaken Tom Collins chair.
So you're gonna start with. Typically, it's a London Dry. I'm gonna be using an Irish gunpowder gin. We kind of talked about my gin preference before. I like a little heavier in citrus, a little less junipery. So your Irishes, your Japanese, things like that will have a lot more of that flavor profile. So we're gonna do about 2 ounces of whatever your gin of choice is.
Botanical Rain. 2 inches of Botanical Rain.
That's right.
I'm using Oso Arizona gin.
Are you coming with me on this journey? Should I make sure you're keeping up?
I I'm doing my alternate ingredients as usual.
What she needs to do is really stock up that bar at home.
We're going to take a simple syrup. We're going to do about a half ounce, maybe a little heavier, just depending on, what your taste is. That's just your sweetener. So go nuts or don't. And then I think the true recipe is going to call for about an ounce or so of fresh lemon juice. I just take about a half a lemon, squeeze her in there directly. So we
Let's get you one of those fancy juicers.
You got to do it by hand, Bo. It's handcrafted.
No, I have a hand crank juicer. It's like squeezes the half lemon and gets to the seeds at the same time.
All right, so we're gonna get that nice and shaken up. You're gonna want to have a chilled, usually a Collins glass, but we're cheap around here in South Dakota, so we're just gonna use a pint glass. I like to take a couple of, just slice up a little bit of lemon and kind of tuck it down in your ice there. Don't have to do this, but it just gives it a little more lemon flavor. What's he laughing about?
It's a shake
Matt Donnelly.
Yeah, shake, weight, shake off. Because we were dancing with you.
So Matt Donnelly was admiring your forearms flexing while you shook the Tom Collins, the official cocktail of Sean Connery.
It's the only thing I can flex because the rest of me is too fat to see the muscle tone. So after you got your glass nice and chilled out, add your lemons. I'm gonna throw a little bit of there. And we were a little late, so I got a little bit solid pour, but that's all right. And then once you got that in the glass, you're just going to top it off with club soda, seltzer water, whatever you want.
So I didn't have lemons or any club soda, and I have used lemon soda.
That actually works. I mean, when you're in a bind, that works.
That's the damn difference.
And then you're going to garnish it with a lemon peel and technically a normal cherry, but we're going to use the
we hate cherries if you're Connor. Connor hates cherries.
And if you want to spice it up a little bit, you can give it a little bit squirt or a little bit of a spoonful of cherry, but you know damn well I hate cherries, so we're not doing that. And that is going to be just a very basic Tom Collins, fantastic summer drink, nice and bright, citrusy, refreshing, but it is gin, so drink responsibly because you'll get spun out on gin in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't drink gin, so that's why I'm not partaking tonight. Plus, I'm also coming off COVID and nothing tastes right except for a good old-fashioned Mountain Dew.
I did not know that you had COVID.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah, I had it on Thursday, and I just went back to work today for the first time. So,
well, I'm glad that you're doing all right. My parents had a COVID scare. My parents and my brother. There we are. My parents and my brother had a COVID scare, but it turned out they didn't have COVID. They just got some kind of weird flu. So that it worked out, but.
Yeah, my daughter caught it from school. She gave it to me, and then I've passed it on to my wife now. So it got all of us, and it's miserable. It is miserable. That's a beast of a virus, and I don't want it ever again.
No, I don't know if we were doing the show at the time that I had it first, but I had the respiratory one, and man, it beat the living hell out of me. It was horrible.
I can't even imagine because what I had was pretty bad. So, and not being able to breathe on top of it would have really sucked.
Well, I have not had COVID, and in light of that merry news, I think we should move on to talk about the course and the tournament and our lineups. So let's go not slam some trunks.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
I like that one.
That's one of my favorite drops we've had.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So, Connor, are you prepared this evening to tell us about the Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas?
You know I am, sort of.
He's a plaid jacket sort of guy anyway.
You know, I did learn a fun fact. I hope it doesn't steal your thunder. but I read that this tournament is the longest running PGA tournament at the same location in history. Thought that was fun.
1946 was the first year, I think.
Same
And
thing.
they have never changed venues, so that was kind of neat.
No reason to. This course is historic.
And I do, and on that note too, being that there is a lot of course history here, there are a couple of guys that I like solely based on that. They're not going to hit your stat models, but we'll get to them. So, like we were just talking about, Charles Schwab Challenge. Say that 3 times fast. At Colonial Country Club down in Fort Worth, Texas. Course is right around 7,200 yards. They can stretch it a little bit, not much. It's par 70. It's on bent grass. The big thing with this course is it does require a fair amount of accuracy. It's tree-lined fairways. It's riddled with bunkers. There are like some creeks and water that come into play on a lot of the holes, and they're kind of sneaky. The rough will be a lot more penal than what we've seen the last few weeks too. So you're really going to want to be on the fairway. And I know we say this almost every week, but the truth this week is this is truly a second shot course, truly an approach game type of situation. And most of that stems from, again, needing to be accurate. And then the green complexes are a lot smaller than tour average. And I personally think that these greens are going to dry out. It's going to be about 90 degrees most days. I think it's going to be pretty tough to hold the green. So you're going to need some guys that kind of have some approach prowess. What else do I know? It's heavy par 4 scoring. Par 3s are pretty long, so I wouldn't expect a whole lot of birdies on those. Par 5s are a little bit tricky. And I already alluded to it. But the weather, the winds, at least when I looked, and you guys always correct me on weather, but I did look on my way home. Looks like the wind is going to be pretty mellow, about 12 to 14 miles an hour Thursday through Sunday. Might get a little bit of moisture on the back end of Sunday, but other than that, we're going to be high 80s, low 90s. Like I said, probably pretty dry. And what key stats that I looked at, and I think we're going to be pretty similar on a lot of these. I looked at strokes gained approach, obviously. I looked at strokes gained off the tee and driving accuracy. I did look at par 3s over 200 yards, just the shot gain metric on it. I just wanted to see who was actually staying around par on those, because that's what all of these par 3s are.
They're big.
They are big. Par 4 scoring, like I said. And then I dialed it in to an approach metric. I'm looking at about 150 to 175 just to see where guys are shaping up there. So that, my friends, in a nutshell, is the course breakdown and the stats that I looked at this week.
Charles Schwab Challenge.
What kind of challenge is it, really?
The challenge.
I looked at very similar stats, but I also looked at greens and regulation. I was heavily focusing on driving accuracy, good drives, and greens and regulation. And then to your point of those greens drying out and someone needing to be accurate, I was also looking again at the scrambling, but specifically the sand scrambling too. As we mentioned, there's a lot of sand on this course. So yeah, and all of that can be found in many models that are used across the board. I don't know how much or what other tools Bo uses, but I've been using TeamRiserFall.com's modeling tool, the Study Hub. But Connor, you use a couple different tools as well.
I predominantly use Fantasy National, which is, again, just another stat generator, another simulator, not dissimilar from what you guys use. But it's definitely the format on it's super cool, really easy to create your own model. It's like really intuitive. So I've just been using that one for a few years and hasn't done me wrong.
That's good to know.
Yep.
Okay, so we've talked metrics, we've talked course and course history and weather. So maybe we should just start diving in to picks. And I feel like I've been talking to Connor a lot this evening. So let's start. Bo, do you want to kick it off on the top tier?
I'm going to breathe a little.
Yeah, the top tier is not very controversial because a lot of the same guys on a similar course. I would say this is a very similar course to Southern Hills. It's just shorter, narrower, and the rough is longer. But same par 70, narrow landing areas, and just simply put, you have to be planning your way around the golf course and you have to be in the fairway to score. On a par 70, you're going to need to score birdies on par fours primarily. And usual suspects from last week, your Scotty Scheffler, your Justin Thomas, your Colin Morikawa, are all guys that are great approach players that are going to be in play. They're long enough hitters where, even on this course, where you don't even have to be a long hitter, you just have to be in the fairway. If you're in the fairway on this course, it's going to be close to 15 to 20 under par by the end of the day on Sunday. So it's still going to be a scoring course, just kind of the same breath as Southern Hills, just not quite as extreme. And it's not going to be set up for a major, obviously. Colonial has been a long staple of this tour because it's always the same. Every year they roll out the same yardage, the same hole locations. Like Connor said, the guys that have done well here in the past are going to continue to do well here because they just get a comfort zone going where they love the course. They'll come back every single year. That's why the week after a very, very difficult major, you don't see very many of these big names dropping out of Colonial because it's so special. That's the mark of a great tournament. So those three guys at the top, I'm going to have a good amount of all three of those guys. Will Zalatoris, again, you can't scare me off Zalatoris on a shot maker's course. It's not going to happen. The guy's just absolutely nails with irons in his hand, and he's not going to hit as many fairways. So I'll have a little bit less of Zalatoris than the other three guys, but he's going to be in contention. And then I believe, other than that, I probably won't have very much of anybody above 9,500.
That's really interesting because, well, I don't know if it's really interesting, but what's interesting is what is interesting to me is that I am definitely going to play Scheffler again. I'm still on the Scheffler train. Scotty, we are in this to the end. I believe you. You're coming back off of a terrible week. That was a terrible week. But still on with Scheffler. The rest of my picks, I'm finding, at least on DraftKings, are in that value range. And it kind of terrifies me a little bit that they're so inexpensive. But
yeah, there's a lot of great prices here on DraftKings.
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm looking at it with a grain of salt, as in there's going to be a ton of chalk down there. There's some guys that we just saw do extremely well at Southern Hills that are priced really low, and you're going to see a whole heck of a lot of chalk because a lot of eyeballs were on last week's tournament.
Well, the plus side of this play, and we'll go into those value picks later, but the plus side of this play is if I play even 3 of these value picks or 2 of these value picks, I can do 2 or 3 chalk. Nobody in, because, and that might play this week, so we'll see.
So this hasn't happened a lot in the last month or so, but I am completely out on both of your guys' predominant picks. I have zero interest in Scheffler. I really have no interest in Zalatoris. And I'll tell you the deal on Scheffler. Like, one, I watched him play. I watched damn near every shot of that tournament, and I don't know, but it reminded me of the Scheffler burnout that happened kind of middle of last season, where he was scoring a ton of points for us. Everything was going great. He wasn't as dominant as he has been this year, but then he kind of hit a wall for a minute, and I saw reminiscent like shots from that. And so you couple that with the fact that in the 2 times he started here, he's got a miscut and a T55. I just don't know that this is going to be good vibes and a get right situation for Scheffler. So I'm out. Zalatoris, and in this field over the last 36, irregardless of what happened last week, is the worst fairway hit percentage
Yep.
He can't putt.
No.
And his around the green game is not elite. I'm with you, Bo. He's a good ball striker, but coming off of your first like big stage playoff type of situation, the letdown from that, and again, a course that's going to demand that you are in the fairway, not in a second shot type of situation. I just 10-1 Zalatoris is too much for me to spend. I'm going to go back to Victor Hovland. He's going to be uber chalk, but I'm willing to eat it. He rates out number 1 over the last 36 in approach, which is the main thing I looked at. He's number 4 in strokes gained off the tee. His scrambling has come around significantly, and he's a far better putter than Will Zalatoris is at that price.
He's a money putter.
Just to answer this question here, how long does a run usually last? So I would say a run, when I'm looking at previous events, it seems to be around 3 tournaments or so, and that may just be me. And funny enough, maybe 3 or 4 tournaments. And funny enough, that is exactly how long my run lasted.
You were fire for a while. Like I was like, I've been scared to like go against your picks because you were fire and Bo's been fire. So everybody on the show has got totally valuable picks. You can't really go wrong. You know how I am.
I'm on board with Hovland, by the way. Hovland's, I usually don't really like him, but this is exactly the type of course where I want to play a guy like him because he finds fairways. He's a decent approach player, and it's not that he can't scramble, it's that he's bad around the greens, but he's a great putter. So his scrambling actually is pretty good because when you combine around the green and on the green, that's your scrambling. It's just like Shane Lowry he can't chip to save his life, but he can make putts from all over the world, and that saves him. And Hovland's a similar player, but Hovland's a really accurate player. And he's not going to miss too many fairways, and he's not going to miss too many greens. And on a course like this, he could go really low.
I've listened to a lot of guys. Like you listen to like some of the guys in Pat Mayo's camp, and they've been calling Hovland like Rory Light for a few years now. And if you look at his game, he really has a lot of similar comparison to Rory McIlroy. And I think if there's one thing that really differentiates them, Rory's better around the green. Rory's better at putting typically. But it's a lot of
Rory hits about 45 yards farther.
True. I don't want to skip over this guy because I do actually think this guy may end up coming in somewhat low owned, and it's Justin Thomas. If he stays in this field, I'm playing him. He was fire. Yeah. And
I think he will stay in this field.
This is an easier course.
It's exactly the same setup. Like we're saying, is these guys that hit fairways, that hit greens, and they make putts. I mean, that's JT. That's why he was in the model last week. And it's just you're going to do the same model with an easier course, and he's going to be in the field. I don't see any reason why JT drops out of this. It's not like he had a hard time last week, like a lot of players.
And people don't like going back to the guy that just won for whatever reason. I mean, historically, if you look at it in DraftKings and FanDuel, like people shy away from the guy that just won. Dude, he was
players stay hot. Hot players stay hot.
Especially Justin Thomas. Good Lord.
So there's a question here. How is Cooch looking this week with his kind eyes? I don't think he's in the tournament this week.
He's not.
I have not. I scrolled through and
he's played 3 weeks in a row. He's exhausted.
He's going back to his family who hasn't seen him since 1998.
Old man Cooch is going to get an eye lift.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. No Cooch this week. He did play.
His eyes will look more surprised than kind.
You know what? I broke up with him last week, and he played pretty well. So.
Yep.
You guys want to jump into the nines? I know.
Yeah,
we got to stay on track tonight because we do have the back road coming up at 8:30. Also, IBC. So if you are into NASCAR DFS, NASCAR gambling, check that out. It's 8:30. So we'll run you right up to that, and then you can just.
There's 2 guys here in the nines that one of them I've been playing the last few weeks successfully. Didn't get a lot of mention earlier in the show, but Abraham Answer is a native Texan. And even though he's representing Mexico, he grew up in Texas. Great, accurate ball striker. Great, finds fairways.
Last week.
He did. He
I
was
had-
on the top of
I
the
mean,
leaderboard until the
He
end.
was like my only player. I guess
He's
I
your only player that ended up under par, so I think you should be happy about Abraham Answer.
By only player, he's the only player you had that made the cut.
Yes.
I had two,
So yes,
didn't I?
Abraham Answer is a great play this week again, and a guy that I haven't seen in a while because I've been waiting for him to come back, who's a perfect fit for this golf course and has a lot of good course history here, is Sung J M. Sung J M is a very accurate player. Are you gonna look that up, Connor?
I thought he was.
There's a lot of chatter about Sung.
He's not officially out. Nope, it says M. Illness is listed in the field for this week's Charles Schwab Challenge.
Sweet. Then I like that play.
Yes.
A lot of chatter in our Team Riser Fall Discord about Sung Jae. A lot of people are calling him because he is babe above everyone or whatever it is. I don't speak
Sunday,
that.
yeah. No, the Discord channel has a nickname for every single player. And some of them are good ones, like the guys that don't burn us on a weekly basis. Like Cameron Tringali is Cameron Triangle, because every time you play him, you feel like you're in the Bermuda Triangle because he sucks. And then the guys like Fitz, like we can't stand Fitz because metrically he's always going to pop up, and then he never ever does anything with the stats that he puts up. But Sung JM is Sung Bae to the Team Riser Fall Discord channel. So we love some M. We want him to come back in and play well off COVID. That's why he couldn't play last week. He had a positive COVID test. So hopefully he sticks in because he's a perfect fit for this course.
I don't know.
I like Sungjae. Go ahead, Kelly.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm looking at it. It's not like a great value.
Kidding me? The dude hasn't been under 10,000 since I was born.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what I'm reading with my eyeballs as far as analyzing it. But I will say, if we look at our old friend Sam Burns, who I've broken up with before, he might be better. But I think I'm leaning towards Max Homa in this price range. That will be where I land in this price range, Max Homa.
Yeah, as long as you don't say Daniel Berger, because I called that one correctly last week.
I will be going right back to Daniel Berger. I'll be playing Daniel Berger this week.
That's disgusting.
It's not disgusting.
Daniel Nothing Burger?
I may captain him just to piss you off.
Ooh,
The dude plays barely more tournaments than Tiger does.
No, he is looking good. He's averaging 15th place in this event when we look at
He's playing 9 events in a calendar year.
I'm just telling you where he's landing right now.
9,000 for a guy who only averages 72 fantasy points a week is just not good enough.
Well,
The guy right below him, Taylor Gooch, is averaging 6 more fantasy points per week, and he's played in 17 tournaments. So,
but we
yeah,
all know that they jack up the prices when they've played decently or well the previous week, or they've been owned.
So what's his excuse? Why is he 9,000 when he played like absolute garbage?
I'm not saying he needs an excuse. The platforms are the ones that create the pricing.
Berger's overpriced every single week. Every single week he's overpriced.
No, I only think the last two weeks.
So in reality, like let's just be real for a second about Daniel Berger. Okay, yeah, he did not play well last week. Yes, I do think 9,000 is a tall ask for him. However, as far as analytics go, he absolutely rakes on par fours. He's great from the par 3 target distance that we have identified. He's number 4 in the field overall for shots gained approach, and that's after a somewhat abysmal last week. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think Berger is a terribly bad play, and I think this is a course that fits what he does well. So I'm not opposed to going back to Berger. I am 100% with both of you guys, though. I am playing Max Homa far more often this week. Yes. And Sungjae Im, I'm actually picking up a little bit more interest in, especially when you start looking at ownership. People are still off of him a bit. He's coming in sub 10%.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. So I do like that ownership play with Sung Jae, but I really feel that Max Homa is doing a lot of things right now. I feel like he's got the game and the tools to do well here this week.
He played really well last week and didn't get a lot of credit for it.
I agree.
I have to jump right down to him though, because there's two people that I want to play, and I think if I start where I want to start with Justin Thomas, that I'm probably not going to have a lot of people in the 9. So the first one is Davis Reilly.
Yep.
I'm gonna bang that drum all the way home because Davis Reilly has got the complete game. He's really starting to trend and round into form.
He's so hot right now.
He's so hot right now. So hot right now.
Hot
I really do. I think we're gonna get a win out of Reilly relatively soon. I don't know if it's this week, but I definitely think he's gonna compete. And then defending champion Jason Kokorak. He's got excellent course history here. He's one of the guys I was going to talk about where the analytics aren't going to love him. And as a matter of fact, in transparency, over the last 36, he rates out 78th in my ranking in this field. So really, really not great. But I was really impressed with how Kokorak was playing prior to the last few tournaments. And on top of that, like I said, this is a place that he's proven he can get around in low score. So I like Kokorak at 8,200.
Huh.
Any love for Mito coming off heartbreak?
Absolutely not. I think he's going to have a hangover from it, at least for a couple tournaments. I'll get back on him in a few weeks.
Can't say I disagree there.
I'm not sure. Well, when we look between DraftKings and FanDuel, Chris Kirk falls between value and our middle tier there. And I am on the Chris Kirk train this week. I think the analytics line up perfectly for a Chris Kirk showing. So that one I am definitely for sure about this week. Chris Kirk, 8-7 on FanDuel, 7-9 on DraftKings.
You haven't been with us long enough, but Bo knows all too well. Chris Kirk, for my column this week, is my last call. So he's going to get relegated to the island if he doesn't perform this week. But I am playing Chris Kirk.
For the love of God, Chris Kirk. For the love of God.
Tom Hoagie made his way back. He swam, him and Wilson, back on that island.
And as we kind of go down into the 7s, Hoagie's one of the guys I absolutely will have in my pool.
We all on Hoagie Island this week for value?
The dude is nails right now. The dude is on fire. He's a great, accurate player. Like, we're talking gifted ball striker, gifted accurate player. And the other guy is Sebastian Munoz, who we saw last time we were at an easier course like this where birdies are more accessible and it requires accurate shots. Sebastian Munoz is a great player on this type of course. He's going to make birdies on par 4s. That's what I really like about him. But him and Hoagie in that mid-7s, give me all that.
I think we do have to, since we're in the mid-7s on DK, I think we do have to address Brian Harman. I do like the Brian Harman play this week. I'm going to have a fair amount of him, but everybody likes Brian Harman this week. So
is he going to be chalkier than Mav McNeely?
I think Harman's going to come around. Well, I can tell you what he's tracking at, but I'll bet you it's around 20%.
Yeah, compare him and Mav because I'm kind of hesitant to play a lot of Mav because of how well he's going to pop up in everybody's analytics and at such a crazy low price.
I'm out on Mav again for the same reasons I was a couple weeks back. Like, he's just not good from that longer distance. Like, he's not going to score on par 3s. He's not really ranking out that great in par 4 scoring. Like, he's average. I think where Mav excels is where he can just kind of fire away, like some of those par 5 courses and stuff like that. Like, I love Mav McNeely. Pains me to say don't play him, but I'm just not interested.
It looks like
watch him go out and win.
This afternoon around 4:30 Eastern time, we were looking at who were you asking about? Brian Harman. About 10% ownership on DraftKings and 8% on FanDuel. But that was just this afternoon.
17.5% calculated ownership for Brian Harman.
So quite a bit higher on national.
It doubled since just late this afternoon.
It's even higher for members of Fantasy National. Closer to 20% projected. Who was the other guy we were comparing? Mav?
Munoz, Kirk, Hoagie.
Oh
Mav.
yeah, Mav was the other one Bo
Oh.
mentioned. So Mav, I think if you're sharp, you're out on Mav. Mav's projected ownership is 8.5, and at that price, if people aren't starring him on Fantasy National or on your guys' side, like that tells me.
Right. Yeah, he's a good but not great play, and you don't want good, you want great or a cloud of dust. Really, DFS is all about winning it all, not just being good enough.
This afternoon, he was actually already rostered 9%, but it
It's
may
just too
not
high
have.
for that.
Those are probably just the ongoing fans and people that are listening or doing their studies. It's not going to get much higher probably.
You got anybody in the low sevens there, Connor?
I don't really. I actually don't have a lot in the sixes either. Who I'm going to recommend in the six.
Of course, but two guys I'm going to have some exposure to at 7,200 each: Joel Damon and KH Lee, the Panda. Those two guys are going to be in my pool. And then Dylan Fratelli at 71. He's a good player. Going down to the sixes, there's a few. The guy that just was bitching and moaning about Southern Hills, Patton Kazire, he's got something to prove now because everybody hates him, or he's talking shit about one of the greatest courses in the world. So if he's talking shit about Colonial, he's just going to get kicked off tour.
I am Austin Smotherman, man, 6,300. I'm going
That's
back.
So crazy, right?
He's so good right now, and he's trending even better.
And then you got Denny McCarthy at 68, and you got Mark Hubbard at 64. Both of those guys on accuracy court. Yeah, Old Mother Hubbard. It's Smotherman, McCarthy. We're talking about guys under 7 here that could win the tournament.
I've got one for you that you've not mentioned yet that has very accurate driving, doesn't putt so well, but strokes gained has been on the up and up. And we're looking at event history, which hasn't been terrible, 27th place average. And I am talking about Lucas Glover coming in at 67 on DK and oddly enough 82 on FanDuel. And they're normally only 1,000 apart usually, but this is quite a distance between the two. But he's still showing as a value play on both platforms, and an A on DraftKings, meaning great value, a B on FanDuel, meaning good value still. And so out of the ones you guys haven't mentioned, I kind of like Lucas Glover if I was in a pinch.
But we're not in a pinch because this week there's so many great value plays.
There is.
I'd rather play my uncle who's a 17 handicap than Lucas Glover. And no, his name's not Lucas either. So,
I'm just talking
Uncle Randy, 17 handicap's going to go out there and
if we just want to talk about analytics, that's where.
Yeah, I'd rather spend up on maybe Stuart Sink at 7,100. I think Lucas Glover is going to get beaten by Stuart Sink.
I would play up on Kevin Streelman, personally.
See, there you go. That's much better than Lucas Glover. I was
just trying to mumble that when she was talking about accuracy. I said Kevin Streelman. Nobody saw that. Somebody had to have seen
Streelman. We thought you were having a stroke, a Streelman stroke.
I'm back now though.
Hatton's whining a lot about the course, apparently.
Well, he whines about every course that he doesn't win at.
Of courses.
Of course.
Yeah, I like Streelman. I actually do like Lucas Glover. I don't. There's other plays I like better, to be honest. However, his approach game hasn't been bad lately. He's a good ball striker. I think the things, I think there's a lot of good about him. If you get down in that price, though, I'm probably going to eat my words, but I'm really on Kitayama. I'm on Smotherman.
Thank you.
I'm on Nick
I was
Taylor.
just going to say that it's if we don't mention Kitayama, it's a crime because, again, we're talking about guys who make birdies on par 4s. with good approach game and solid putting from mid-range. Because if you're going to be 12 to 20 feet away on your approaches and you're putting for those birdies from mid-range, the guy's been making them from all over the place. As long as he's finding the fairway, which he does quite often, he's a great approach player. And that, like you said, this is a second shot golf course.
Yeah, he is very good in approach in this field. He's 16th overall over the last 36, which is nice. Like I said, I'm going to throw out a couple of stats on Smotherman because people probably still don't know who this guy is, but he's number 11.
Learn today.
Number 11 in the field for approach. He's number 18 in the field for off the tee. 32nd in the field for DK points. This is a guy that is normally priced sub 7K. And then overall strokes gained total just on this field, he's 39th. So this is a guy that at $6,300 is in the top third of this field. And people still don't know who he is. So, and he actually has made us some money. So I would fully recommend at 6,300 putting some shares into Smotherman.
And one more thing with Kitayama is, well, a lot of people don't know about Northern California. When you grow up playing golf in Northern California, you're used to NorCal.
Oh, shit.
So is Kurt Kitayama. I actually competed against Kurt's older brother, Daniel. And when we were competing or whether we're practicing, is the courses that we grow up on, extremely fast greens and fairways and extremely narrow tree line fairways. Every course has tree line fairways, just like here at Colonial, where you are dead if you don't find the fairway. And so we're used to playing 2-iron stingers through the wind in between the tree lines. We're not hitting driver unless it's completely wide open because there's no reason to. And Colonial's not going to have a lot of drivers off the tee. There's just not a lot of holes where it's necessary. So you're going to see a lot of the 2-iron stingers, 3-iron stingers off the tee from all these golfers. And it's the guys who are used to playing that style of golf their entire life, the Texas boys. They're going to be really used to it. But like Northern California is a lot like Texas, where it's hot and dry and windy all the damn time. And you play courses with lots of tree line fairways, you're going to get used to it. And I think the Kitayama does have an edge there where this is the same style of golf we grew up playing.
Do you guys have any dart throws you want to throw out before we get into our captain's picks?
I was just wondering if anybody else has been looking at their models and feel like HV3 Harold Varner III is a trap this week. Because I feel like it's a total trap. Again, like last week, I'm like, okay, I'm on board. The analytics pan out. Again, this week, analytics pan out, but not for accuracy and not for sand. And he's priced pretty high. He's got great projections, but I feel like it's a trap.
Yeah,
I think Connor, I'm going to let you decide who my dark horse is.
So here's let me say something about Varner real quick. So for all the reasons that I mentioned the last 2 weeks on Varner, I'm even more out this week. He's so wayward half the time, and this is not
can't hit fairways.
Yeah, you got to hit the fairway here. And he can hit fairways, but at $7,800, there's just so many more consistently accurate players in that range. Gary Woodland, Brian Harmon, Chris Kirk, Sebastian Munoz, Tom Hoagie.
Right.
You know, if HV3 was low sevens, I'd throw some ownership his way. But right in that mix, there's just too many guys I want to play at that price point.
Yeah. He was one of those things. It's not like the other when I was running stats today, and I was like, all right, go ahead. Dark horse.
Who's a darker horse? Who's a darker horse between two California golfers, Sahith Theegala or Kurt Kitayama? Whoever is the darkest one, that's my darkest horse. I'm
going with Theegala.
I'm actually going to go Kitayama just because I think Theegala has got a little more, I guess, pressure experience so far. Like he's been in contention more. Like I think Kitayama ultimately might be a better golfer, but I think Theegala's got better.
I think that the Theegala's performance in Phoenix was what put him on the map. So I think I'll agree with you and go with Kitayama as my dark horse.
Yep, I'm with you. What do you got, Kelly? Who's your dart throw?
Man, I feel like everybody I'm playing is a dart throw this week because, like I said, I'm going to be playing a lot of those guys in the high to mid sevens, I think, and then I'm going to pick two chalky players. So I may go two chalky players and 3 or 4 lower range dudes just because I'm going to trust the analytics this week, I think. Yeah. So all of them.
They're all throws.
Yes, I'm got Kirk, Harmon, Munoz, Hoagie. That's probably the 4 I'm gonna play the most of, and then chalk with Scheffler, and I may go with Spieth.
I do like Spieth.
Texas man.
So mine is going to be Ricky Fowler.
I played him last week actually on a couple lineups because I was intrigued.
At 4.5% owned, coming off of, I thought, sort of a get-right week for him.
Yeah.
This is not as good a field, though still a good field. I think he's going to be able to like take a little bit of foot off the gas in terms of having to power his way around the course. This is a shorter course. I think he can focus on some of the approach game, and I kind of like where he's trending at. So Ricky Fowler at 4.5%, I'll have some shares of that. That's a good value, I think, at that price and that ownership.
Event history, we're looking at an average of 38th place. He had a 103, 74, 14. So do with that what you will.
Throwing a dart.
Captain time, baby.
Yes, sir.
Not a great sand player, so hopefully he stays out of the sand.
Yeah.
Captains.
Yeah.
I believe
Captains.
ladies and last place go first.
I'm sticking with Scheffler this week. He will be my captain again.
She's gonna go out on the sword.
Bo?
I'm gonna go with Abraham Answer. Texas native, accurate ball striker. I just think he's right where I want it, price wise. I'm gonna have a lot of him. I would say Sung Jae, but I really do worry that he might not finish the tournament, so he can't be my captain spot. I'm gonna have Sung Jae, but my captain, the guy that I really trust this week, is Abraham Answer.
I am going to go with not friend, not enemy of the show, Max
Homa.
Max Homa.
I already knew. I was like, wait a minute, I know this one.
No, yeah, he may be in there somewhere, but not captain.
I'm really, really close right now between him and Hovland. Homa is more well-rounded, so I'm gonna go with Homa. I may stack them both together in a lineup, but in terms of our head-to-head, I'll take Homa.
Get a good call.
I like it. Do you know what's really weird? I was just looking for our closing music, and it is not in the file. It's not here.
Bo's gonna beatbox us out.
I'm if you are watching IBT team Seth, I should take a screenshot. I've got the intro, the spin effect, the trunk slam. There is no closer. So with that being said, stay tuned because there is NASCAR and it's coming up next.
I've been told those guys actually know what they're talking about, so check them out.
If you're bored and want to get extra DFS in, extra bets, I do that with hockey. I don't even watch hockey, but I watch hockey analytics and I bet on it.
I'll one up you. I play League of Legends DraftKings, so yeah, you want to talk about degenerate? I bet on League of Legends video game.
Yeah.
That's great.
I hate soccer with a fiery passion, but I'll play or Formula One. I don't think I watched a Formula One race in 10 years, and I still bet on it in DraftKings.
Emerson Fittipaldi still race?
No idea.
I don't.
No
There
clue.
you go. Mhm.
All right. Well, like I said, I don't have any outro music. So, all right. Peace out, everyone. See you next week.
IBT Media.
Bye. Ending.